Hello, this is Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer.
Welcome home.
Soar into tower. We are ready for takeoff.
Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Hey, it's Amy from DVC Clubhouse.
Hey Clubbers, it's Scott from DVC Clubhouse.
Hey, it's Kathleen from DVC Clubhouse.
Welcome aboard. It's Phil from DVC Clubhouse.
Hey, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Debrief podcast brought to you by DVC Clubhouse. This is Amy, joined by Phil. What is that look on your face?
Oh, you almost lost it. You were so close. You stuttered. You were so close.
I did it, though. I got it out.
Oh, you pushed through it. I am so proud of you. I thought you were
eked it
going to
out.
face plant there.
Do you know that I stuttered as a child? I had a stuttering problem.
Did you?
So, yeah.
I was
So,
unaware of that.
sometimes it kind of peaks. As I've gotten older, it kind of like comes out again. And my kids are not shy to point it out.
Oh, I'm
Because,
sure they are
kids,
not. I'm sure they're not.
you can rely on kids when you make a mistake or say something funny or
just to say something completely awful in the most innocent way. Just, oh, yeah, they're good at that, aren't
yeah.
they?
Yeah, they're terrific. So anyway, I made it through. I stumbled through it, but
But you got through. You did not mess it up. There was a little hesitation, but you got it done. You remained strong through week, what are we, 5, something like that? You've only got another 47 to go, 46 to go.
I've got it. I've got it down.
You got this. And even if you make it to 51, Scott and I are going to sabotage you on 52. We can't let this happen.
Well, I was going to say it's actually a little bit easier when Scott and Kathleen are not on, just because it really, I know it doesn't make sense, but the fact that he always puts different names, I think like I'm a very visual person. And so seeing different names than the ones I'm supposed to be saying, it really like trips me up sometimes. So,
What are you talking about?
oh, you know what I'm talking about.
Why would you cast such horrible aspersions at Scott when he's not here to defend himself? I'm here for you, buddy. I can't believe she would try and belittle and besmirch you the way she's doing when you're not here.
Throwing him under the bus.
And backing it up at the same time. Wow. I maintain he does nothing of the sort, and this is all on you.
Okay. Well, Kathleen and Scott are not with us again. As we mentioned in last week's episode, Kathleen had to go home to Ohio because she had a death in the family, and she is flying back today, and Scott's picking her up from the airport. So they were not able to join us. So it's just, you're stuck with the two of us.
Woohoo! That's right. We can keep this short, sweet, and to the point.
That's what we always say.
Yeah, we'll try anyway. I'll try not to drive it too far off the tracks.
Why don't you explain to our audience what we are going to be talking about today?
All right. So we actually have a great show idea for the upcoming shows, but I really want Scott and Kathleen to be here for those. So we're going to hold off on those. So when we signed on tonight, I said to Amy, let us eat our way through the parks. Big surprise. Not like, we talk about dining all the time. But what I said was pull up the menus, do 5 minutes of research. Let's pick a place to have breakfast, pick a place to have lunch, find a place for a snack, and pick a place to have dinner. And what are you eating? And Amy said, all right, that's fine. But as long as we can pick somewhere where we're going for a nighttime show. So that's what we're going to bring to the table tonight. Get it? Bring to the table.
That's the bonus round.
Bonus round.
Is the
I like
nighttime
it.
show.
Well, I know where you're going, and you probably know where I'm going. So there's no surprises here.
I think we're going together.
We might be. I don't know. I did. The fact that it's got to be a current show breaks my heart a little bit, but that's okay. There's still some good nighttime entertainment, despite the
Indeed.
untimely and horrific demise of Illuminations.
So I'm really going to try to not be too terribly predictable with my responses. I mean, I think some of them are going to be predictable, but I'm really going to try to.
There's no way you're not having dinner at California Grill. Come on now.
You just wait. You just wait.
Okay, we'll see.
All right. So, where are you starting your day?
Okay, so you want to talk about unpredictable? Here we go. I'm going to start my day at the park that I typically say I don't go to very much because it's a half day park. I'm going into Animal Kingdom for breakfast. Tusker House. I think it is just I don't like buffets in general. That one is the exception to the rule for me. Anything you could ever possibly want for breakfast, they have on that buffet. Plus, it's as close as you're going to get to the Fab Five outside of Chef Mickey's. Fantastic character interaction. You can get into the park nice and early. Also gives you the opportunity to run over to Avatar Flight of Passage before everybody else if you time it correctly, which is the key to starting off that park to get it all done in the whopping half a day that you need. Parfait, bread pudding, eggs, every kind of pastry you could possibly imagine, a carving station. I'm not typically one for big breakfast, but man, I'm a sucker for Tusker House.
You do sing the praises of Tusker House pretty often. So, I wouldn't have predicted it, but I'm not surprised by it.
Well, I think the
I'll just say
unpredictable
that.
part was Animal Kingdom. How often do I ever
Yeah.
pick anything in Animal
Right.
Kingdom? Let's be honest here.
This is true. Although I kind of feel like lately you've been saying more positive things about Animal Kingdom.
I think again, Animal Kingdom is not a bad park. I think Animal Kingdom is a beautiful park. I think Animal Kingdom is amazing to walk through. I think Animal Kingdom has some fantastic dining. There's just no doubt about the dining at Animal Kingdom. My problem is I get bored at Animal Kingdom, I guess is what it comes down to. I know there's these fantastic walking trails and you can see these amazing animals, but realistically, I get through about half a day at Animal Kingdom, especially in May when it starts getting a little warm, and I'm just done. I'm done with the choke points. I'm done with the crowds. I'm done with looking at animals for the 47th time. I just want to go do something different. I don't think Animal Kingdom's a bad park. I just think it's not my park.
Yeah, that's understandable. It's funny because when I was just there, it was like pretty empty. We got through most of the things that we wanted to do fairly quickly. And I mean, and in fairness, Kali River Rapids was closed and
Actually, it was like
Dino Land,
27 degrees that day.
yeah, right. And Dino Land, is pretty much closed down with the exception of Dinosaur. So you're taking an already kind of sparse park in terms of attractions and making it even more so. But I have spent the entire day at Animal Kingdom at times, but because we did everything so quickly, it really was like there's nothing else to do here.
All right,
Like
now
it's
what?
time it's time to go.
Animal Kingdom, I have walked into Magic Kingdom at night on a holiday season night where, it's like one of the 2 nights of the week you can get into the park at night, and I have turned around and left. But to start the day going to a park, Animal Kingdom is the only park I have walked into, taken one look at the crowd, looked at my wife, and said, "Let's go somewhere else." And we turned around, walked out of the park, and went somewhere different. When that park gets crowded, I know it's good at dispersing people, but when that park gets crowded in the main walkways, it's brutal.
Yeah. It definitely can be. Well, I am going to a different park for breakfast and I'm going to Epcot and I'm going to have breakfast at Leal, the bakery in France.
That's kind of a normal for you, isn't it? You talk about going in there sometimes and getting something to eat early in the morning.
I do, and the reason why I'm sticking with that, I mean, I'm ending up being completely predictable. I'm forget what
So
I
so
said.
your vow to be completely unpredictable
Yes.
has already failed.
Yeah. But I imagine in this scenario that I'm staying at Beach Club or Boardwalk, and I am not a big breakfast person, so I don't want to have a buffet. I don't want to have like a big sit down. So I will likely just get a breakfast sandwich on a croissant from Leal and, enjoy it sitting around World Showcase with a cup of coffee and keeping it. I mean, I'm saying relatively light, but I'm talking about ham and cheese on a croissant.
So a croque monsieur to start the day.
Yeah. Yeah. That's light by Disney standards.
It's funny, I was thinking about that going into this. This is not a day that I would ever do because it's just far too much food. I'm picking some of my favorites that I think would be great, but if I actually did this day, I don't know how my body would handle it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you would have to have your breakfast buffet like pretty early in order to actually be hungry for lunch.
I'd have to have my breakfast buffet early to be hungry for dinner.
It's the truth. So, all right. So tell me, after you have your breakfast buffet at Tusker House, what is next?
So again, in keeping with my complete predictability, I'm staying in Animal Kingdom. I can't believe I just said that. I feel dirty. I need to go take a shower, but I'm staying at Animal Kingdom. All right, I'm going to pay you a compliment. Are you ready for this? We need to mark the
I'm
date
ready.
and time.
Okay.
You have completely opened my eyes to the small plates at Tiffin's. We had such a good time there, just having small plates, the wings, the
At Nomad
I'm
Lounge?
sorry, Nomad Lounge rather. We had such a good time there with the small plates, just sitting out in the deck, taking our time, laying back on the couch. It was fantastic, despite Kathleen's now complete denial that she enjoys fish sauce. I thought it was incredible. So the good news is I've always said Animal Kingdom's a half day park. So we're out of there by what, 1 o'clock? So we've kept it to a half day park.
Nomad Lounge is one of my favorites, but I'm actually going to be going over to Animal Kingdom Lodge and I'm going to have lunch at Sanaa because I think at
Thank God you
Sanaa,
ate light for breakfast.
well, I think at Sanaa I can still kind of keep it light for lunch. I mean, assuming that I'm there with somebody, I would just get the bread service and the salad sampler. And I like going there during the day so that you can see the animals. It's not quite as crowded or busy during the day, so you can kind of it's kind of like relaxed, and I don't know. I just enjoy that vibe. So I think that's I really enjoy Sanaa as a lunchtime option as opposed to a dinner time option because I do think that a huge appeal of that restaurant is being able to see the animals, and once it gets dark you can't see them. So that's where I'm going for lunch. And I might have a white wine flight with my
Just might. Just
with
it's
my
just a small
just
possibility.
maybe with my bread service and my salad sampler.
I'm actually surprised by that one. I'm not gonna
Are
lie.
you?
That's an interesting choice because I don't typically think about Sanaa for lunch. I think it just when I think about Sanaa, I think about dinner. I think about they've got exquisite meals. The tastes are very unique. They're excellent. The bread surface and everything that goes with it. Sanaa typically wouldn't ping up on my radar for a lunchtime option. It sounds very good. I would do it, but I just would not have looked to Sanaa for lunch, even though in the back of my head I know they have lunch there. I know it's good, but it just doesn't ring up when I think of typical lunch spots. Be like, hey, let's go on over to Animal Kingdom Lodge and sit down in Sanaa and have some lunch. It wouldn't even occur to me.
Well, I used to only do it for dinner because pre-COVID, they had a scallop dish that was absolutely like hands down one of my favorite dishes at all of Disney. And it has not, I don't even know if they have scallops on the menu anymore, but they had some really good entrees that were like, I just couldn't miss. But the menu has changed a little bit. And even at that, it is a nice place. What I like about going to Sanaa is, and I've kind of learned this as I've been doing these solo trips for the last several years, is I'm not really going to Disney and riding rides. And often I don't even really go to the parks unless I'm going to a festival at Epcot. So Sanaa kind of is like a fun way to experience the uniqueness of Disney without going into a park. So that is a restaurant that I have started to do more for lunchtime because it gives me a daytime activity that feels like immersive and fun and like very Disney and has like a delicious menu where I can still eat on the lighter side so that I am ready for like a really good dinner later on that day. So Sanaa it is for me.
That makes sense. And it's actually a really great choice if you're off property. So, on occasion, we've had conferences down in Orlando, not too far from Disney property. And when we've needed a place to go grab dinner, Sanaa typically comes to mind because you can go there, you can immerse yourself in everything that is Animal Kingdom Lodge, the lobby, the entrance, the animals, the ambiance of the restaurant, the food. So we've done that a couple of times where we've left our conference hotel, taken an Uber over to Animal Kingdom Lodge and had dinner there because it's a taste of Disney and their theming without actually having to go into a park. So it's a really good option for that.
Thanks.
All right. Well, I'm going to pull a Kathleen. I went first this time. What do you
Yeah.
want to do next?
So for my snack, I am going to head to Disney Springs, and I
You're
am
all
going to
over
go.
property. You're really
Yeah,
taking this to heart, aren't you?
I am. I mean, honestly, this is like when I first started doing my solo trips, like before I really met a lot of DVC people. This was like what I was doing. I was just basically like, I'm by myself. I don't have my kids with me. What are my favorite things to do? And I'm just going to do them. Like I wasn't really looking to go to the parks at that point. I don't even think Disney had reintroduced the annual passes after COVID. And so I wasn't buying a theme park ticket every time I went. So I was just like, what am I going to do to fill my day? And this was like part of what I would do is just like hop around property to do stuff like this.
That's an interesting side point, actually. We were talking about it the other day when I was down with Scott and Kathleen. It's a totally different mindset when you've got an AP. I still don't like the reservations. I still don't like the good to go days because it does put a little bit of a kink in the system when you're just kind of flying off the cuff and doing what you want. But still having that, I don't worry when I'm flying down to see Scott and Kathleen on a whim about what day ticket I'm buying or what the cost is of a day ticket. Like we saw people standing in line to get tickets at 12:30 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon at Magic Kingdom. You look up the prices, you're like, who is paying that to get into the park at 1 o'clock in the afternoon? And when I think about where I want to go to eat, I don't have to worry about if it's inside a park or if I have to swap parks or do I have a park hopper. It totally opens up the possibilities. I don't know what I'll do if we reach a point where I don't have an annual pass. Like, how do I even plan my day having to get it that rigid instead of waking up and being like, oh, let's just go into Animal Kingdom for breakfast because they've got an open reservation. Let's go.
Right. Right. It is. I mean, the freedom with an annual pass is really something that I love. I prior to buying the annual pass when it came back after COVID, I had never gotten an annual pass before because we weren't traveling frequently enough to warrant that. We would travel even if we traveled every year, we weren't spacing it 11 months.
Yep. We typically do. We try and get two in for every pass
Yeah,
just to make it worth it.
exactly. So I really love the freedom of the annual pass to give you that flexibility. But like I said, before I got the annual pass and I would go down there, that I basically was like, I'm going to maximize the things that I can do outside of the park. And so definitely going over to Disney Springs and going to Wine Bar George, either sitting at the bar or just going up to the window outside and getting the fried mac and cheese bites. I love those so
Good thing
much.
you had
Those are
that
like
salad for lunch.
I just love those. And like they're a small portion. So I mean, I joked a couple weeks ago that they feel light. Clearly they're not. They're cheese and pasta that are deep fried.
Fried
But
in
they
oil.
they don't they like weirdly don't land like a ton of bricks in your stomach. So I'm sure that if you ate more than 4 of them, they would, but
Yeah, there's a reason there's a small portion
yeah,
size.
exactly. And I love that Wine Bar George is right across from that stage area where there are performers because even if you take them to go, you can sit there and often those women who play like the electric violins, they'll play there and I really enjoy that. So that's my option for my snack.
That's become my favorite thing about Disney Springs. I mean, I've often said we're not Disney Springs people. We're not going to go shopping. We're not going to go and buy things, so to speak, but just grabbing something to eat, whether it's something at Ghirardelli or a little snack. And there's like 6 different stages or little mini stages that they've got out all over Disney Springs. And there's always someone playing live music. And goodness, I'm a sucker for live music. Just sign me up.
One of my favorite days when I was doing the solo trips before I had the annual pass was I spent the entire day at Disney Springs and I made 4 different advanced dining reservations. They were all, like 2 to 3 hours apart from each other. And I went to each restaurant and I just got a small plate. And in between, I would go into shops or I would sit and watch the entertainment. And it was a really fun way to kind of just spend a day at Disney Springs and go into some of the restaurants that I wouldn't necessarily seek out. Like Morimoto Asia is one that if I hadn't done that to go in and have those ribs, I probably wouldn't have gone there because it's just not what I'm looking to do at Disney Springs. I hit up the Polite Pig where I got some of those market sides. I went to Homecoming and I got those chicken and biscuits sliders.
I thought you were going to say chicken and donuts, and I started
No,
salivating.
I think that they're called like the thigh high chicken biscuits or
Exactly. Yeah,
something.
that's exactly what they
I
are.
got those. I got the mac and cheese bites at Wine Bar George, and I got those ribs at Morimoto Asia. And in between, sat and took in all of the entertainment, and it was such a fun day. I loved it. I should do that again sometime. That was a fun way to spend the day.
There you go. You got something planned. When's your next trip? Next week? Week after?
It's actually not until that one night, April 30th, before the cruise. And then the next time I'm there for an extended period of time is not until Clubhouse weekend in September. So
This is a new record. Are we taking bets on whether or not you last that long between trips?
don't think that I wasn't just looking on United's app today to see how much it would be for me to go down for a day. Not
Just
even
because.
just to go to Festival of the Arts because I was having FOMO.
Yeah, I know that feeling. And I'm serious this time, Scott. If you're listening, I pinky promise we are not due back again until May. I really, really mean it this time. All right. Well, for me, I'm going to swap parks. I am going to go for my little Achilles heel of snacks. I'm going into Adventureland and I'm getting those cheeseburger egg rolls. So bad for you. They do not land light, but goodness, are they tasty.
Yeah, they're a little greasy for me, but
They
they are
are.
tasty.
The line for those went from the cart down to the cut through. I think it wrapped into and out of the Christmas shop over in Liberty Square and halfway to Hall of Presidents. We walked by it the other day and went, I am not waiting in that line. No, thank you. Moving on. There had to be 50 people waiting on those things.
That is crazy. Well, I mean, they have become like Instagram and
Yeah,
TikTok
they've become the
famous.
new thing. Back before everyone knew they were there were like 4 people at that cart waiting to get them. And now everybody knows about them and they've become the go-to snack. We kind of bide our time. We keep walking by over the course of a trip. And if I see a line with 5 people or less, I jump in. But they're good. They're not waiting a line on a cart for an hour good, but they're good.
Well, that's how I feel about Nomad Lounge. I feel like it was kind of tucked away. People didn't realize it was there, and then it became, a social media phenom, and now there's always a wait. So
Yeah, we rope dropped. Then we went over to ride Expedition Everest. You went and stood in line. You were in line, what, in 45 minutes or more before they opened up. And we
yep,
walked up and there was already a line behind you.
yeah, yep. The secret is out.
All right. So on to dinner. Again, my predictability. I'm going to be totally predictable this one. I'm already over on that side of property. There's no reason to go anywhere else. I'm going to walk out of Magic Kingdom, get on that lovely walking path. I'm going over to Narcoossee's. To me, it's just a no-brainer, especially since we stay at Poly. It's perfect. But the menu there is phenomenal. The ambiance is phenomenal. Everything there is just good. Em gets her key lime martini. That Gulf shrimp bucatini is phenomenal. The only thing I could say bad about it is their lobster bisque is served lukewarm, which is a New Englander, just makes me want to retch. But everything else that came to our table was phenomenal.
Do love Narcoossee's. I think that it is definitely. I think it's in my top 3, and I think that the refurbishment just like it had a glow up that really moved it from like just like an okay restaurant to an outstanding restaurant.
I mean, even in comparison to Citrico's, we looked through both menus and I gave everybody the choice and it was unanimous. Citrico's is, generally accepted to be the restaurant over on that side, unless, obviously you're going with the $4,000 a plate meal next door. But we just went to Narcoossee's. I think their menu is more varied. Their menu is better. There's nothing bad I could say about it aside from that silly bisque.
So I struggled with this one because, my
Oh, I
go-to
know where
would
you wanted to
always
go.
be my go-to would always be California Grill. But then when I said the thing about the nighttime show, I was like, well, I'm not going to be there for fireworks. So maybe it doesn't make sense to choose California Grill for this particular exercise. And then I thought about Narcoossee's and I thought about Victoria and Albert's, but I decided this is going to be completely surprising. Maybe not completely, but you won't see this coming.
Would you like
But
me
I'm
to prep
picking
my
a-
surprise face just in case?
Yes, please.
Okay, here it comes.
This is a restaurant that used to be one of my favorites. And I went after it reopened after
If you
COVID,
say pizza Rizzo, I'm going to puke.
and it was extremely disappointing. And I did not go back. But then we went to the Food and Wine Classic and we had the most outstanding dish of the festival there. And it reminded me of its former glory. And I have to give it another chance. So I am picking Todd English's Blue Zoo for my dinner.
For the record, I gave the Macaulay Culkin Home Alone
Yeah.
shocked face.
So that's what I'm picking because I really feel like I have to give it another shot, and why not throw it in there for this exercise?
I completely agree. So we are headed to Vegas in 2 days for my annual conference. But next year, that conference is being held in Orlando. And it is my last year as the chairman of the association. So I am just going to stomp my feet. And this is where I want to go. So, okay, back it up. Every year we have a board dinner and we have Coast Guard admirals and some other people that come with us. And typically I let our executive director pick because she's the foodie. She always has the place. But probably, going back, I think it was my first year as chairman. So we're going back quite a ways. We went to dinner at Todd English's Blue Zoo. And when I say we took 3 seafood platters directly to the face in about 5 minutes, we crushed those things. It was ugly. And I think next year when we go back to Orlando for our conference, I'm going to tell her that it's my departing dinner as chairman. I want to go back over to Blue Zoo because the same as you, that sable fish was to die for. It was so good. And we got to sit there and talk to Todd English himself, and he's totally plugged in. And he talked about the restaurant and the recovery after the pandemic and what they've done and how he still very much pays attention to what goes on there. I want to give it another shot because I think if it is anything near what it was prior to COVID, it's a home run.
There was a year I went down to Disney with 3 of my friends for my 40th birthday, and we had dinner there because my birthday is in June. We ended up going in July, and it overlapped with another one of my friends' birthdays, and it was actually her birthday on the day that we went to Blue Zoo. And they had this nitrogen infused tuna tartare appetizer that they brought it out, and it was like smoking, but it wasn't
You have
hot,
my attention with tuna tartare.
and it was just absolutely outstanding. We all we devoured it and wanted it again so badly, but our entrees came, and then we had told our server that it was my friend Jinky's birthday, and they said, "Well, you
Speaking
get
of taking fish to the face, okay, we've got Jinky involved here. I've seen the
yes.
photos.
She'll be so happy that you're recognizing her kissing the fish." But anyway, the server said to her, Since it's your birthday, you get to choose any dessert off the menu, complimentary." And she said, "Well, I'm not really a dessert person. I don't want dessert. Can you bring me the tuna tartare as my
I love her.
complimentary dessert?"
I've never met her and I love her.
And the server said, "Well, let me see what I can do." And sure enough, they came out with another nitrogen infused tuna tartare. It's smoking. It's like, that what's that ice called? Like the dry ice, how it kind of like steams. That's what it was doing. They put a candle in the middle of it, and we sang
That's
happy birthday.
awesome.
We sang happy birthday
Here's your
to
tuna
Jinky.
cake.
Yeah. Over a plate of steaming tuna tartare, which was absolutely delicious. And the rest of our food was really delicious too. But yeah, so that place was really, that was one of my go-tos. We would dine there frequently. And it was actually the reason why I had never gone to Flying Fish up until after COVID, because I loved Blue Zoo so much, and it's a seafood restaurant. I couldn't bring myself to not go there to go to Flying Fish. So I only went to Flying Fish after I had that excruciatingly disappointing experience at Blue Zoo after COVID. So I was like, I'll give Flying Fish a try. But I think, to your point, like the sablefish was outstanding, and I have hope that it has returned to its former glory. So I'm actually I want to go there. Now I'm like, I can't wait until September. Now I'm just gonna need to book a trip just so I can go
Just so you
down.
can go down there. I think my problem is
just
I'm
go.
going to hit the bottom of that escalator, and my body, the muscle memory, is now so inclined to turn right to Rosa. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to enter into Blue Zoo. All right, so I'm going
It's
to throw
true.
a
I
little
mean,
lightning round in. I'm sorry, go ahead.
okay, no, I was gonna say, it's really when you think about the dining at the Swan and Dolphin, I have I have always had a little bit of resistance about booking there just because I just don't feel the Disney magic in the lobbies of those two hotels. But the restaurants where I have dined, I mean, Rosa is great. If Blue Zoo is back to its former glory, that's great. I think that the sushi at Kimonos is pretty good, for to do some sushi and
For karaoke sushi.
yeah, karaoke sushi,
It's not gas station sushi, it's karaoke sushi, but it's good
yeah,
for karaoke sushi.
it works for me. So yeah, I mean, and Amare at the Swan Reserve is actually really good too. So I mean, they've got some great options that I think that a lot of people are probably the same as me. Like they want to eat at like a Disney hotel or in a park, but there are definitely some gems over there.
I don't disagree. I've said for years that there's fantastic dining locations there, but we just get this mental block where we walk past Swan and Dolphin like with blinders on, like they don't exist. They're not Disney. They don't exist. Don't look at those. We don't go there.
Right.
All right.
Right.
So you mentioned dessert. By the way, giant shout out to Jenky, the only other person I know who would consider sashimi to be a dessert. If I ever get divorced, I'm going to come see Jenky. All right. So lightning round. You mentioned dessert. One sweet treat. What are you getting?
So this is tough for me too because like I'm not a huge sweet tooth person. And I'm kind of torn between two, which are totally completely different. But the No Way Jose is absolutely
Oh, I didn't
ridiculous.
even think about
I'm
that. You're messing with me
uh,
now.
and Emma is allergic to peanuts, so I really don't eat peanut butter that much. So when I go, when I went on that trip and I got the No Way Jose for the first time ever because she wasn't with me, it was like a euphoric experience.
That could be defined that way.
Yeah,
I could see why you'd make that comparison.
for lack of a better term. But and this is probably going to make some people be like, "Ew, really?" But I really, really love the school bread from Norway. Like, I really love it.
It's a popular favorite. I don't think too many people are going to shout that down. It's not my favorite. It's good, but I mean, that's a very popular favorite. I think I hear about it all the time. We've tried it. It's good. I'd have it again. I wouldn't go searching it out, but it's a must have for a lot of people.
Yeah, I like it because it's not like over the top sweet. It's has cardamom on it, which I love cardamom. I put that stuff on my breakfast. So I put it in hot beverages. So it's that thing is right up my alley. So I'd probably end up going to Beaches and Cream and getting the No Way Jose.
All right. Well, I'll give you a variance. If you're by yourself, no way, Jose. But side note, if you're with the kids, you're going over to Norway and getting the school bread.
Correct.
So I was totally set until you just talked about the No Way Jose. All right. So if I'm on that side of property, No Way Jose all day long. Fantastic. But we made a little discovery last weekend. I had no idea. I don't know if this is new because I've asked for it before and they told me it wasn't doable. You can, in fact, get the coconut and the pineapple Dole Whip in a swirl. You used to be able to get the pineapple and vanilla and you could get the coconut. But when I asked like a year and a half ago, they told me that was not possible. And when I asked for a swirl the other day, he said, would you like the pineapple and coconut or the pineapple and vanilla? And Kathleen had to pick me up off the ground in Adventureland because I about fell over and I got the pineapple and coconut. And it was everything I dreamed it would be. It was incredible.
So euphoric.
I would go past that. Yeah.
How does it stand up against the No Way Jose?
Two completely different sweet treats. And I know they're both technically ice cream, but one is just an over the top, phenomenal, enormous tiramisu glass full of ice cream and hot fudge and peanut butter and all sorts of yumminess. And the other one is a midday walking through Adventureland non-dairy treat. So they're very different. I think given the choice, I'd probably go back to the coconut pineapple Dole Whip. I love the Dole Whip. But if I'm over anywhere near Crescent Lake, yeah, I'm going to take a No Way Jose to the face. Just that's the way it is.
It is so good. And I love ice cream that has hot fudge on it. Like I like the contrast of like the hot and the ice cream, or just like syrup so that it's
I
like
could have
something
just
that
stopped it. I love ice cream, period. There's no ice cream I don't love. One of my Christmas gifts this year was a subscription to a French pot ice cream manufacturer. I got 12 pints delivered to my door the other day. You should have seen my face, like a kid in a candy store.
sounds perfect for winter when it's 2 degrees.
All right, so based on where you're going for dinner, I think I know what nighttime entertainment you're picking. I think it's one we have shared together.
You are
purport that I
correct.
have
Ding, ding,
sung
ding, ding,
along
ding.
with. I admit to nothing.
Yeah, and I mean, even if I wasn't over there for dinner and dessert, Fantasmic was going to be my choice. I just, I was talking to a client today who was like she's flying down next week and she's like all excited and it's her first time and she was like, is there anything I'm forgetting? And I was like, she was talking about her Hollywood Studios stay. I was like, you have to do Fantasmic. And as I was explaining it to her, I was like, getting all excited about it because
You were
I love
singing,
it
you were
so
doing the
much.
Celine Dion
Yeah,
hand and arm
exactly.
movements.
Exactly. Fireworks shot out of my index finger. Yeah, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I love
That
Fantasmic
was such an
so
esoteric
much."
reference. Only a Disney fan would understand that.
So, yeah, it's just so good. I mean, because first of all, you get to sit down, which is like
There
already
is
you're
that.
already winning instead of like having to cram and like stake your claim on Main Street USA trying to find a corner to wedge yourself on, and you might be standing beside somebody who has their kid on their shoulders or
And if you're not when it starts, someone's going to stand in front of you before the fireworks starts and hold up a 13-inch iPad Monster
Right.
Pro to record it in front of your face, just guaranteed.
Right. Right. And so, yeah, so at Fantasmic, you get to sit, you get to just, I don't know, there's just something about it that is like so fun. Maybe because it is like you get to sit and you're in an amphitheater, so it feels more like concert like it feels more like show like, but I don't know. You can deny it all you want. You and I were singing our hearts out, and it's just fun. It gets you. It makes you want to sing along, and
You were
it's just so
definitely
good.
singing. No doubt about it.
Who, me?
Yeah, you were definitely singing during that show.
Oh,
Both shows, actually. I recall a little girl named Mackenzie saying, Amy, we can all see you, you know.
I get really into it, guys. I can't help it.
Clearly. All right, so I'm actually going to go to Happily Ever After with one caveat. I will not watch Happily Ever After from Main Street. I will not watch it from the train station. I will not watch it from the hub. I can't do it. I've seen the show before. This is not once in a lifetime for me. I love the show. To me, it's the one with the most feels, but I cannot do that crowd. I just can't do it with the cast members with the wands and people crowding into the taped off boxes and being 27 people deep, elbow to elbow. I can't handle those crowds. I will only watch it if A, I have a dessert party where I can sit on the green, or B, very simply for me, we watch it from the pool at the Poly. As long as I can watch this, or Grand Floridian, as long as I can watch this from one of those pools, Poly, maybe I've got another Dole Whip in my hand, we're waist deep in the water, hanging out with the kids, it's nice and warm out, they're piping in the music. We also found another little spot at Poly that's very underpopulated, where you can watch it from, that gives a great vantage point. If I can watch it from away from there, a fireworks cruise, anywhere but Main Street, I'm going with Happily Ever After. There's just something about that show. I love Fantasmic, and it certainly is something you can sing along to and you can get into it and it's a show, but just pulling at the heartstrings, Happily Ever After just does it, and I didn't want it to do it. When they first premiered it, I wanted so badly to hate it. I love it. I love all the memories. I love the music. I love all the narration. I just think it's a fantastic show.
It is a great show. I mean, I will always be a Wishes girl. That is my Magic Kingdom fireworks show of choice. But I think that Happily Ever After is great. And on this trip that I was on with Allie, the first night we watched it from our balcony at the Island Tower, which was
Yeah, that's
fantastic.
a nice option.
Yeah, that was great. And then on the next night, we watched it. We hadn't planned to watch it from anywhere in Magic Kingdom. Allie just wanted to keep hitting up the rides. And so we got onto It's a Small World right around the time that the fireworks were starting. So that when we came out, it was kind of like at the halfway point, and we stood there in between It's a Small World and Peter Pan's Flight and watched over It's a Small World.
Yeah, we've
And
done it
those
from that side
fireworks,
before. It's
they're
great.
massive. Like, they are exploding in your face. They're huge. And then if you turn around, then you can see the ones that are shooting up from behind the castle that, like the
Yep,
ones that
the
look
ones
like the
from a mile
rockets.
back on Ring Road.
So that was like we stood there, and I was actually surprised that Allie even wanted to do it also, but it was such a unique vantage point. I took a video of it because it was really cool. And if you're somebody who has already seen Happily Ever After and you don't care about seeing all the projections or watching the fireworks behind the castle, that is a really fun place to watch it because it is still shooting up above those buildings in Fantasyland. And it's and you can hear the music. So you kind of get a different vantage point in a way less crowded thoroughfare.
Another cool way to do it, if you can time it right, and we have only timed it perfectly once, is watching the fireworks while riding Big Thunder is such a cool experience. And we have gotten it close where you're in line and you kind of catch it, or you get off the ride and you're right there. But only once, when Em and I happened to be there, I think maybe it was Marathon Weekend or something, was a walk on. So we stood right outside and timed it just before the show started and walked right down to the cars and got on. Coming up around those corners and looking over your shoulder and seeing the fireworks overhead is a really cool experience.
Yeah, that would be very cool. It would also be really cool to be able to time it so that right when you're about to go down the
Drop on
big
Tiana's.
drop, yeah,
Yep. I've thought about that.
hit the finale, that would be like such like
That's got
a
to be
climax
exquisite
to that
timing.
ride.
Like, you need to hit it right as it's ending.
Right. Yeah, that would be so cool.
Like, hey, can you stop the
yeah.
ride? We've got 45 more seconds. I just want to wait
Right,
it out.
exactly. I mean, they stop it a million times anyway, so.
That's very true. All right, so I think, I can't believe it. We've gotten 45 minutes into our perfect ad. I didn't think we were going to get it to go this long.
I mean, we can talk.
Yeah, especially about Disney, no doubt about it.
Yeah, exactly. But that was fun. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, same here. All right, folks. Well, thank you for listening along. Hopefully next week we will have Scott and Kathleen back with us for our big ideas for the next few shows. If you could head on over to Apple Podcasts, give us a like, a 5-star review. Again, shout out to Jinky. Sashimi is, in fact, dessert. I love you. Amy?
And please, if you don't follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and maybe TikTok, you can
Still
you can
remains to
follow
be
us
seen.
there.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I did post a video there the other day and it seemed to work. So, but also you can join us at the Facebook group DVC Clubhouse to kind of meet all of the clubbers and be part of the nonsense that we
The shenanigans we get up to.
Yeah, exactly. So join us there. And until next time, we'll DVC you real soon.
See you guys.
And so our journey comes to an end.
Oh, no, please, can't we go back to page 1 and do it all over again?
We started this thing together, and that's how we'll finish it.
Because that, my friends, is where the magic lives.
Happily ever